What is going on, people? TripleM back again with another video. It's daily dose of football content, and today I've got a very short and sweet video for you guys discussing my Premier League predictions. Truth be told, it's not something I do very often on the channel. To be honest with you, I've never done it on the channel, so this is going to be my first Premier League predictions. And why am I filming this video? To be honest, out of boredom. Like, there's just nothing else to talk about. But also, on a more serious note, I wanted to try this piece of content out, and because there's no real Premier League football at the moment, I thought I might as well try every football YouTuber's favorite content idea and see how it works on my channel. So let's get straight into it. Bournemouth are going to get relegated. Okay, I think the signs are pretty clear. They recently just sacked their manager. They're not playing particularly great. They're not getting the results either, because those are two different things. You can play well and get terrible results. You can also play badly and get good results. Those two things are true and they do exist. But I think Bournemouth have played badly and they've got bad results. And on top of that, they didn't spend a lot of money, right? And they didn't recoup any money either, like from the sales that they made. In fact, a lot of the sales that they made were free, or they were loans, or they were very low transfer fees as far as I'm aware. So their business was terrible. Their business was absolutely awful. Next to them in the lovely relegation home, I'm going to put Nottingham Forest. And it's weird with Nottingham Forest because they were one of those teams that everybody praised for, well, not everybody, but some people praised for being ambitious, for spending a lot of money, for looking like a team that actually wanted to stay in the Premier League. But I think they've overdone it. I think they've over-egged the pudding, genuinely speaking. I think there's a point where ambition turns into self-sabotage, right? I think there's a point where it becomes counterintuitive. I think there's a point where it becomes too much. And I think buying as many players as they did, dependent on how many of them actually integrate well into the first team, could be very disruptive, because that's a whole new 11 that you pretty much have to figure out as a manager, and you don't have a lot of time. Now, granted, there's no football due to certain events in England, and there will be an international break coming up in 2 weeks, but the games are coming so thick and fast that it's really hard in between games to change things as a manager and to really fix problems, core problems in the team. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm not going to spend too much time on it. I think Nottingham Forest are going down. And then for the third team that's going down, I actually don't think it's going to be Fulham. Surprise, surprise, that's my controversial take for the video. I don't think it's going to be Fulham. I think Fulham are going to stay up. Based on the performances I've seen from them alone, and just based on the type of football that they play, I think they're going to be all right. Now, to be honest, I haven't watched football week in, week out. Who has, apart from Fulham fans? I watched them against Liverpool, and then I can't remember who they were playing against, but I watched one other game. I think it was against Arsenal, yes, when Arsenal got that late winner. That's the other game I watched with Fulham in it. I haven't watched any of their other performances, so I am going off a very small sample space, but I don't think Fulham will get relegated. So who will? For me, it's got to be between Aston Villa and Everton. And I know some people think that's a crazy shout, but I genuinely think either Aston Villa or Everton are going to go down. Now, for the sake of not sitting on the fence and getting splinters up my arse, I'm going to go with Everton. I think Everton, based on the recent past, have been a very terrible team. Now, I praise them for playing well against Liverpool. I praise them for playing well in a few other games. And I've even said that a lot of their results have been very unfair because they've played well. But the thing is, when you're fighting relegation, you don't have time to improve your squad. You don't have time to improve things and build a long-term plan. Everything is short-term. And I don't think they're going to do enough in the January transfer window to get what they need to push them over the line. I don't think there's many number 9s in the market, which, by the way, I think is their biggest problem. The fact that they don't have a number 9, a goal-scoring number 9, and they've made so many chances against teams like Liverpool where it's cost them, right? They just don't have somebody who can finish and get them those big goals in those big moments to see them stay up in the Premier League. So unless they buy a number 9 in January, which I don't think they will, because the number 9 market is not very great right now, and even if there is a good number 9 out there, they're probably going to have to spend over the odds for that number 9. I just don't see it. Anyways, bottom half of the table, I'm going to put Aston Villa. I'm going to put Crystal Palace. I'm going to put Fulham, because even though I think they'll survive relegation, I don't think they'll do that well. Then I'm going to put Brighton, okay? I'm going to put Brighton. And actually, I'm also going to put Leeds here. Right? I'm also going to put Leeds, because I think that Leeds are a team that are not going to improve that much, if in my personal opinion. Despite that freak win against Chelsea, and I'm taking nothing away from Leeds, I think a lot of that had to do with how poor Chelsea were and just everything that was going on behind the scenes at Chelsea Football Club. So yeah, Brighton, self-explanatory. Graham Potter, aka Harry Potter, aka the Magician, he's left, so they're going to be a shadow of themselves. Naturally, there's going to be a drop-off. I genuinely think he was that important to Brighton. Anyways, moving on, let's go to the middle table. I'm going to put Southampton there. I'm going to put Wolves there. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. I'm also going to put Newcastle there. I don't think Newcastle have quite hit the heights that everybody expects, because I think when Newcastle had new owners, everybody expected them to turn into this superpower that signed Kylian Mbappe and Gareth Bale overnight, and it just wasn't meant to be, right? It just wasn't meant to be. These things take time. Maybe Newcastle will be a formidable team and a scary team, not just in England, but perhaps in Europe someday in the near future, but it ain't now. It ain't now. They're far from that. I'm going to put Brentford here as well, you know. I think Brentford are going to have a solid season. I think they're going to finish in the top 12. Where specifically? I think they'll pull off a ninth. I think they'll pull off a ninth or a 10th, so top half of the table. Cheeky little top half of the table. And then I'm going to put Leicester here. And Leicester's an interesting one because they're currently set rock bottom of the Premier League table. You might say they're keeping the seat warm for Bournemouth. But no, seriously. They are terrible. And I think when they finally grow a pair and pull the trigger on Brendan Rodgers, which sounds harsh, but, you know, it is what it is. I think once they sack Brendan Rodgers, they will be a better team, depending on who they get, obviously, but they will be a better team. There'll be a new manager bounce. I think the new manager will be able to get a tune out of some of those players, but I don't think Brendan Rodgers can turn it around. Maybe I'm wrong, but either way, I don't see Leicester getting relegated, and I certainly don't see them ending up in the bottom half of the table. Just a personal opinion. Then we move into the European spots. This is where it starts to get spicy, because a lot of people are going to unsubscribe after this. Hopefully not, but it is what it is. I'm going to put West Ham, obviously. That's standard, pretty easy. Then I'm going to put Manchester United, because I don't think we're going to make the top four, despite the fact that we've signed Casemiro, but despite the fact that we've signed Antony, despite the fact that we've addressed quite a few key issues in our team. I don't think it's enough. I've been saying this for weeks. We are one injury away in every position from being a bad team. Genuinely speaking, if Casemiro gets injured, we don't have a DM, and we're not playing with one now anyways, funnily enough. If Antony gets injured, we don't have a left-footed right winger. If Sancho gets injured, we don't have a left winger. Martial's already injured, therefore we don't have a striker, because Cristiano Ronaldo doesn't have the legs to play at this level anymore, or for other reasons, Erik ten Hag is just choosing not to start him, whatever those reasons are. So we don't have a number 9. We don't have a number 9 that the manager actually wants to use up front and is first-team quality. So, you know, there's already evidence of this. Delo gets injured, we're back to playing Wan-Bissaka. Malacia gets injured, we're back to playing Luke Shaw, right? Varane gets injured or Martinez gets injured. Touch wood, God forbid. One of them gets injured. It's back to Magalhaes, back to Maguire and Lindelof. So we're one injury away in every position from being a mid-table team. So I don't see things improving that much, and I will change my opinion accordingly. The next one is interesting, because who will it be? Who will it be? I'm going to put Liverpool here. And the reason why I'm going to put Liverpool here is because I think they've been terrible this season. And I think their loyalty to Jurgen Klopp might be the reason that it takes them too long to rectify the mistake. Because you're not going to sell all of those players before the end of the season. And it's quite clear that a lot of them have given up. Trent Alexander-Arnold, whatever you think of him, or however bad you think of him, was an absolute disgrace against Napoli. And Van Dijk and everyone else, I think it was Gomez who played in that game, they were an absolute disgrace. Like, there's some things that have nothing to do with talent and skill. If I was a Liverpool fan, I'd be fuming at what happened against Napoli and what's been happening all season long, because they just weren't actually trying. There's a point where Napoli was scoring goals and it wasn't even like good quality football. The Liverpool players just weren't trying. It's almost as if they've downed tools. It's almost as if they want to get their manager fired. And it's absolutely disgusting. It genuinely is. So I think Liverpool's season will depend on how they deal with the Jurgen Klopp situation, because I don't think he gets that dressing room back. I don't think it is. I think we're past the 7 stages of Klopp, as some Liverpool fans call it. Just me, though. It's definitely not going to be a popular opinion. In the top 4, I think we're going to have Arsenal. Okay, I think Arsenal have played well this season. They've started off quite well. I think they've reinforced their team in the summer. Did they have the best transfer window? Absolutely not. In fact, I think Arsenal's transfer window was underwhelming. I'm a fan of the signing of Jesus. I'm a fan of the signing of Zinchenko. But Fabio Vieira, listen, it's a big risk. Fabio Vieira is a big risk. And I did a video about Fabio Vieira, and he looks like a very good player, but keyword is looks like, right? Like, he looks like a very good player. It seems like a good idea. It seems like it could work out, but it's just one of those that you're not really sure, and he hasn't been integrated into the team yet. So we haven't had a proper look at Fabio Vieira, and I think it's fair to say that Fabio Vieira, Marquinhos, Matt Turner, not really the type of signings that you would say, yeah, that's going to be the difference between Arsenal getting top four versus Arsenal finishing outside the top four. But even though I think their transfer window was underwhelming, I think there's been a change in not only the football. I think there's been improvements in the football, the quality of football, but I think there's been a change in the mentality at Arsenal. And I've been saying this for weeks. That comeback against Fulham, that late goal that they scored, that the way they handled the situation against Crystal Palace, conceding at one end and then immediately returning the favor at the other, they just look like a different team. They look like a team that is more hungry to make top four, a team that is more equipped and using the disappointment of last season as motivation to trot on to try get top four this season. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not reading the room correctly, and maybe I'm jumping too early on Arsenal. But I genuinely think they're going to have a great season. In the other top four spot, I'm going to put Spurs. And Spurs, pretty self-explanatory. They've got Antonio Conte, which is a huge game changer. They already have one of the best front threes in the league, if not the best front three in the league since adding Richarlison. But even without Richarlison, I mean, they've got Kane, they've got Son. You don't need to mention anything else, right? Like you don't. Enough is said, right? Enough is said. I think Spurs, one thing that's held them back in the past is definitely it's been a mentality issue. But they've made top four last season, and I don't see them dropping off. I don't see them regressing. And in terms of who they've signed, obviously Kulusevski is a fantastic acquisition. And I know he wasn't signed in the summer. He was signed, I think, in the January of last summer. The January of last season. Someone please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments down below. But they've added quite a few players this season. Again, much like Arsenal, I'm not that impressed with Spurs' window. I don't think it's as great as some people are making out. But I still don't think that's going to make too much of a difference. I think their team, their camaraderie, the way they're grinding out things, even though their football is not particularly pretty and it's not particularly attractive, I think it's going to be enough to get them Champions League football. Then I'm going to put Chelsea. And people are going to look at this and say, what the hell are you on about? Chelsea look terrible. They've got no plan. Their owner's acting like a fool. He's an American with no European experience, no experience in football, let alone running a football club. He's got no experience actually managing, being in a managerial position or being in a director of football position. They're like, there's just red flags everywhere at Chelsea. Their players aren't that particularly great. Their owner is a lunatic. And they've just hired a manager who, by the way, has never won any like major trophies. And when I say major trophies, I'm not talking about Sweden. I'm not talking about Norway. I'm not talking about all these like obscure leagues in Europe. I'm talking about the top 5 leagues, okay? So if I say Graham Potter hasn't won any trophies, I know that's technically not true because he actually has won trophies. What I mean is that he hasn't done it in the top 5 leagues, so I don't really like pay attention to that. It's kind of like the same thing with Oli. When people used to bring up his league titles at Molde, and I used to look at them like, really, dude? Really? You're going to bring up those league titles to prove that he's good enough to be United manager? Anyways, I'm getting off topic. I think Graham Potter's a great acquisition, and I think that Chelsea are going to be just fine. And I know people don't agree with that. It's okay. Some people want to jump early. Some people want to be like, see, I told you, 12 months from now when Chelsea inevitably capitulate. But I think they'll be fine. And then the champions of the Premier League, surprise, surprise, Man City. Actually, we should put Arsenal there. We should put Arsenal there and put Man City here because, Arsenal are the August Invincibles. You know what I'm saying? Arsenal are the best team in the world, blood. Arsenal, I don't know how the league is going to cope with Arsenal, right? They went invincible last month. They're the best team I've ever seen since 2004. They truly are magnificent. Like, Arsenal are the best thing to happen. So I don't know how we're going to deal with it. I had to take my glasses off there just to really take in how good Arsenal really are going to be this season. Obviously, I'm taking the mick. Arsenal not going to win the league. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you did make it this far in the video, don't forget to leave a like on the video as well to help the channel grow, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. This was a first for me, so hopefully you found that somewhat entertaining. And yeah, it's been your boy TripleM. Peace.